G'day, everybody. I can't be bothered writing anything today, so I'm just going to do a verbal blare. um, I got a really good conclusion, which I wrote up last night, and I need to type it up about my book. And I think it's pretty kind of cool because, like, your conclusions really kind of actually like they write your book. It's almost the thing you should write first before you write the rest of the book. But unless you've done the trip, you can't now write it. But anyway, so I did that, and I went and had a couple of whiskeys last night, and I woke up this morning, and I got up really, really bright and early, and I went upstairs and I went down the Royal Mile in Edinburgh, and what an incredible place, and very, 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 very cold this morning. But when I got up, there was like no one around, and so for about an hour and a half, I had basically, well, maybe an hour, I had an hour to actually explore the Royal Mile by myself, and it was pretty cool. And then I went and had a nice Scottish breakfast, which is basically just a normal breakfast, but it comes with blood pudding and haggis. And then I moseyed on through, and along the way I went past Giles Cathedral, which has a very, very strong Masonic connection. And what I'm very curious about is there's a seal on it, which is the Master Mason symbol. And again, from the documented official Masonic Lodge history, it's confirmed that there's definitely a Masonic connection to Giles, and a connection to the Knights of Lazarus, and a Templar Knight connection. But again, what's interesting is that the building stated it got 1123 on one side of the building, and the Masters Masonic Lodge symbol, which I gotta check this out because it could have been added later, but I doubt it because everything else looks age wise fine, and it just seems, yeah, I just doesn't I don't see it happening that way. But it's the date's 1123, and the Masonic Lodge didn't actually officially kind of get into existence until the 17th centuries or the 1600s. So this lodge is minimally 500 to 600 years there before officially the Masonic Lodge actually existed. So that alone again, when you go and look at Rosslyn Chapel, and you'll find knights here with ropes around their necks, and the graveyards, you'll find Master Mason symbols, which have got dates of 1500 to I think 1300, which again predates the official existence. Um, and I found Master Masonic symbols in the St. Vincent's cemetery going back to I think about 1783, and there were some that were actually a bit older, but like I mean I'll go back to 1783, was like that, like I think it just gets them in the safe zone. But the thing is, what's frustrating is there were other tombstones that look like they could have been Masonic, sorry, specifically, well, Masonic temple. In fact, the one I found in St. Vincent's was definitely of some Crusading order, but the ones that have the indications that they've got, the potentially Master Masons or belong to Crusaders, the ones that really intrigue me, unfortunately, they're so old that most of the writing's been actually ripped off. So not doesn't give me quite the same kind of bona fides as the St Giles Church, and it was actually incredible to see that firsthand and to touch it. It's like it's about as good as documentation as it gets, and there's still a few things I want to check out, but I think that was a really worthwhile find. And so from there, anyway, I kind of got on the train, and I zipped all the way from Scotland to London, and it's quite interesting because it was actually quite idyllic and beautiful. The snow outside, and beautiful buildings right up until you cross the Tweed, which is a pretty incredible looking river as well. And then you go from like basically the trail down. It's like the houses look exactly the same, and it's not hugely as built up as I thought it was. But I mean, again, we were looking for that. It could have been. I'm guessing it's like they picked that route for because it is farmlands and easy to build a train station for it, and probably, but look somewhere else, you probably find that it's just we were near the cities. I think we actually went through one city that I can really, or two maybe. So then we got into London, and along the way, the hideous thing happened was I was trying to actually get into book my ticket. Not book my ticket, but get confirmation, and it just wouldn't accept it, and this was just stressed me out the last day. But I kept cool, just to do it for the emotions and stuff, and then still didn't get it sorted out by the time I got off King's Cross. But kind of went, well, then I had to change tasks because I had to get to my mate's place, and I took a little detour through Harrods, and that was quite fun. And when I quite like the staff at the Carrots. They're really funny. Um, and some beautiful people. But I looked at, I thought, I'll buy something from Harrods, a little token gesture, and looked at the jersey, £3,500 for a jersey, like, oh. So I got over there and I found a black taxi, which I had to get my mate's place, and got a black taxi cab, and which was quite interesting vehicles, and he dropped me off in Kensington and my mate's place, and he's now actually off to do a work thing, and he's going to come back when we're going to go to dinner. But yeah, I got sort of tomorrow I'll be out of London and I'll be on my way back to New Zealand and take about 10 days via Vienna, which I hope to go and have a nice cup of coffee in the Vienna Square, and actually most of the time I'm flying into a lot of places. It's a bit frustrating at times because I fly a lot of places at night time, and in the cases when I've been doing trip, because I'm doing this mission, I only get a couple of days at best, and so oftentimes I've been seeing places, not really getting get really good chance to see them because but it is what it is, and I've got so many great stories along the way. So it is what it is, and so from Vienna we go to Turkey, Turkish air. I don't think I'll actually get out of the airport. I just don't trust myself to be allowed loose. And I've only lost my passport, my phone, lost my AirPods card, but it turned out it was in my bag, so that was all good. Um, just I've come to the conclusion I've about a 3.5 week use by day, and then the wheels start falling off my wagon. Um, so yeah, then we go to Thailand, and then all going well, I'm going to be there for about 4 or 5 days, and I'm going to get a TMJ, MIR for my TMJ, which will be allow me to then diagnose what the issue has been, and then I can start getting some treatment, which I actually haven't had for 20 years, and then I'm going to be going through the whole process of ACC, and someone is seriously going to fucking pay. I tell you that right now. Um, and at the end of that, of course, I'll come home, and I have to fly from there to Sydney. And again, it's a I know Sydney quite well. I've lived there for 3 years, but I fly in there at night time, and it's an early morning flight. So it's those things where you can't take too many risks. If although if I do get stuck in Sydney, it's not the worst place in the world to be stuck, and it's not that expensive to come home. And who knows, I might just go fuck it. What the hell? But anyway, not intentionally. I will see what happens, because the only thing is I wouldn't. I fly from Sydney to uh, Auckland, and then from Auckland I've got a flight to Nelson, and then from Nelson I've got to get back home. And it's in some ways it might actually, once I work out the money, it might actually be easier for me just to fly to Christchurch from Sydney. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, nearly going to be home, but along the way I have done this incredible trip, which I have basically traced. Well, not traced George Moonlight, because we still actually have. Once we get home, we're going to do a trip around New Zealand, delivering the newspapers, and um, well, South Island delivering my newspapers, and some great stories in there, by the way. But you'll have to wait for that. And then along the way, we'll be visiting places that George Moonlight had been. For those who don't know, he's a major prospector, the most eighth largest significant prospector to exist, and he got found gold in New Zealand, probably more than eight, because he found massive amounts of gold in New Zealand, but nobody ever credits his finds in Australia, which were equally on a large scale. And I've got that from my trip now. I've got that confirmed, 100% proof. And then of course he also did significant finds in California, which a lot of his California trip, Mum had actually recovered, and we got a lot of documentation. So I kind of actually focus on his cousin Thomas, who his trip from Scotland was. He basically got involved in the US Army, rose very high up in the ranks, fought basically non-stop for 15, 16 years. It's a small miracle that the guy lived. Became the governor of Wyoming, and then ended up last position as a kind of an honor, post, was he was the ambassador to Bolivia, and that's an interesting story too, which because it involved Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, and he was also involved with Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, and he saw some pretty. He encountered some. I think he did combat against Jesse James and the Quantrill brigades during the Civil War. So he had a pretty larger than life. I mean, lived till about 90 years old. And so we took him concentrated him in basically Missouri, Kansas, Colorado, and Wyoming. So I visited all these places, and a lot of it was having to again travel long distances, getting stuck in Denver for a long, long time. Just nearly didn't actually get out of Denver because it's a snowstorm. Finally, we got to Washington DC on the election day. That was a pretty incredible night, except for the next day I went to Arlington Cemetery, which kind of blew my brains, but literally in terms of like being there when they actually hearing 21 guns being fired for some on the ground. It's like, I don't care which army you're in, all soldiers are. It's never a good thing when anybody dies, anybody. But it's, I don't know. I'm a soul full of soldiers, so it brought it home to me, and it kind of took me out of steps because that's where I lost my passport. And we dealt with that issue, and we spent a week in New York, kind of a bit nervous, but kind of still seeing lots of sites which I probably wouldn't have had. So that was a flip, that was a bonus side. And then I got my passport back 45 minutes before the weekend occurred, and I went out and celebrated, and I lost my phone because I got a little bit too carried away. Uh, and but I had enough backup systems inside to get that they didn't really slow me down. And I got a burner phone when I got to London, but that was from New York to Frankfurt, and Frankfurt was interesting, but it was like literally got there at the airport and had to wait for 30 minutes. 30 minutes, I was back on the airplane, and then so from there I went there to Edinburgh. So at one point, I think I did 26 hours without seeing any nighttime. I think actually, during the plane, it could have been if I, we'd had the windows up, but basically from the viewpoint of I woke up in the morning to when I finally went to bed, it was light, 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 and so eventually I had about a day where the jet lag just kept me stupid, but enough time to recover. Even though it took a little bit of time, that I would have loved to explore Edinburgh from just sleeping. I went all the way up to Arbroath, the home of the Declaration of Arbroath, Arborath, and got to see the chapel there. Had some really nice encounters with the Scottish people up there, and met a really nice barman. So anyone who likes punk rock and wants to play the live music in Scotland, I've got you a gig. And by the way, I've actually got you a really gig. Anybody who wants to play in New York, I've also got you some gig places to play at. And I'll probably build on that next time. If I can get this, assuming that the world doesn't pack up, I'm probably going to turn around and start looking at seeing where I can do some bit more promotion work for bands and stuff there, and just some other cool stuff. But anyway, let's talk. Let's walk before we talk. So from that, I got to go to St. Vidgeon's. Found my way out there. Uh, like a lot of places, my timing was terrible. It was the day that got there that was shut and blocked up. But luck turned on me, and I got to meet a guy next door who had the key, and he gave me the key, and I got to go inside the church. I didn't get to see the museum, which had these incredible pick stones, but I can find all that research online. Or I've got contacts now that can assist me in research there. And again, I managed to find that I didn't get to find Moonlight's grave, but I did find confirmation that Moonlight was buried there. And again, I said, St. Vincent's is my family spiritual home, literally, because we are linked basically to Saint Vincent's or St. Vincent's, if you take the Irish spelling of it, who goes all back to Vignus, who was a senator in the Roman Empire. So we got all this stuff, really amazing documentation that again Jim, the church caretaker, gave me. And from that time, it was time to come home. And I said I got to play a little bit around in Edinburgh, and got to drink at a place called the Last Drop, and a couple of cool bars. But didn't get too carried away because I knew I had things to travel and so on. But did get to walk all around the area, and again meet some very interesting people. And then had a chat this morning to a really incredible Italian guy who gave me his card. Said if you come to Sicily, come and stay at my mansion, mansion. And then I got to speak to the crew at the Fringe Festival, and now got a direct personal connection. So we will be doing stuff at the Fringe Festival about maybe a year, 2 years from now. So overall, and then from that came here, dealt with a bit of stuff, checked in with my mate, got to meet these wonderful dogs who were just crazy Alsatians, and makes me looking forward to getting home to visit my crazy Alsatians, or my friends' crazy Alsatians, but I'm their uncle. So there we are. So for those who care, it's been a awfully incredible trip, and I hope to. I've still got some more adventures to do before we get home, and there is the victory lap for George, and then we've done that, and then we start putting this all together, and I've been writing every day, and I will be writing every day up until January the 1st. So I've been writing every day for a whole year about the Moonlight Diaries, and we then have to crunch, and there was some incredible stuff in that stuff, and I've got to crunch it right down and then bolt it together. Mum's story on George and her essays on the gold mining, and then we will be sending it to the publishing companies, and all going well. Within 2 years' time, we will have that at the publishing company, and I'm pretty optimistic that this is going to be like an incredible bit of work, and assuming the world doesn't blow itself up, I think this will be the international book that I have on the bucket. My bucket list it's pretty well ticked up, but I haven't done that, and I'll get it done. And I'll have got Mum published as a book, which is something she really really wanted and had worked very hard to, and she's not here, but this has been very much a joint effort, and I've had some really funny stories in my head. I know it's all the imagination, but things you want to go visit something and you can't because you don't have time. And Mum's going here, but I want to go, Mum. She gets all piffy and it's all, but it's all imagination. But it still kind of like brings you back to like she's still alive, and um, I think hopefully by the time this book comes through, that then not just for me and even my brothers and sisters, but their nephews and nieces, I hope that they like create something that they're really really proud of, and I hope you guys really enjoy it too, because this has very much been a labour of love, and we've still got a lot more work to do. But this is going to be an incredible bit of work, and thank you very much for all those who have followed my stories, liked my pages. If you really, really want to help me, guys, the best thing you can do is tell other people about it. And I said the way I operate is that I don't do this like, subscribe, donation. I'm not into charity. If you come and like my page and you become a patron, which is basically it's $100 a year or what you value, um, but it means that if a story comes up and you want my opinion about it, or you want me to hey, what do you think about this? And you want me to try and do a little bit of light research from you from time to time. Yes, it's I'm your organic chat creature for all things obscure, and tell people about it, because for all of you people who know me, you know what I do. So tell other people and help me by saying, "Well, you want to find out stuff? Go and ask Kimmy. It's really really cheap." Because I am. I mean, seriously, I doubt anybody works for the low as I do for that kind of research, and I don't care if you think you're good. I am brilliant at this stuff, and because it is literally my professional trade, and I know lots of tricks that many people don't. So again, if you like me, like what I do, tell other people about my page and my website and my radio show, and get them to come and contact me and help me build it. I don't want thousands of followers. I don't want to be an influencer. I'm quite happy to be just a print journalist with basically a nice, if I can, I've got nearly, this year we're down to about 60. I'd like to have it up to like 200 in maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe 300 eventually, but I don't want any more than that. I don't want to be a millionaire. I don't actually want to be famous. I just want to have enough money so that I can actually do this work and get material out there that actually helps people. Anyway, it's been wonderful and a wonderful trip. And again, thank you for those who've been following.